Alright, here's the little brackets that I've made to actually mount the cover, the outer cover of the chain guard onto the bike itself. They're just simple pieces like I showed you. They were just 1/8 inch thick, 3/4 wide, pieces of leftover scrap metal I had laying around. And I got 3 on there. I got one right here that I haven't put on just yet, but this one's finished. It's got all the holes drilled in it. These 2 right here, I need to cut them a little short, a little bit off of each one, and then drill a hole in there. And actually what I've decided to do, because I'm worried that this is going to make it clumsy to get on and off, these bolts are tight. You can see how I have kind of double nutted them like I said I was going to do. But I'm actually going to come in here with my welder. I'm going to weld the nut to the actual bracket here, and I'm going to weld the nut to the very end of the bolt there. So they will, in a sense, be kind of welded on. They'll be bolted and welded. But what I'm worried about is that when you're trying to tighten this all down, because there's going to be nuts welded on the back side of the brackets here, and then the cover will go on there, and then they'll just run a bolt in there, snug it down, and that'll be that. But what I'm worried about is that, you know, if when I take this on and off and I change my gear ratio, I change to a different sprocket, when I go to put all this back on, it's going to be pivoting here, it's going to be pivoting here, and it'll just make it a lot easier to line up if I've got these permanently welded, more or less, to the bracket itself. So what I'm going to try next to see if I can get, before I weld and do any of that, I'm going to double check and make sure that I can actually remove my sprocket and chain with all 4 of these brackets in place. There'll be another one that'll be down here like this. So I'm going to try that, and if that works out, then I'm going to go ahead and drill these out, finish these 2 brackets, and then weld the 4 on there, and then we'll start working with our cover and getting the holes drilled in this piece so it'll fit up to the brackets. Alright, I got the little brackets all finished up, and before I actually weld them to the bike, to the mounts on the bike, I'm going to weld these little flange nuts here on the inside. Or this would be the outside. This is the surface that would actually bolt to this outer shield here. And whenever possible, I like to use these flange nuts as opposed to just like a regular old hex head nut, something like that. The little flange kind of gives you a little, just a little bit more area to weld to. So I'm going to do some beefy tacks to hold this nut to this plate. And I'm going to do that to all 4. Here's the other one. One of the other ones ready to go, ready to get another flange nut welded on that one, and then the other 2 that are still on the bike. And so I'll get these nuts welded on and put the brackets back on, get everything lined up how I want it, and then weld the brackets to the bike itself. Alright, anytime you weld something that has threads on it, be it a nut in this case, or a threaded insert, or like a welded bung or anything like that, it's always in your best interest, after you finish welding and after it cools down, go ahead and run a tap through those threads just to clean them up. The heat can obviously distort the material. It can make it, instead of a round hole, you got an oval or something like that. You get spatter inside the threads. So it's always just a good idea to run a tap through your threads just to make sure that everything is still in good shape.